your best friend Kenny, and I have another spooky, disturbing story for you today. If you're a fan of spooky and disturbing stories, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like and share this video. Share this video with your neighbors. Just head right over to your neighbor's house and say, hey, here, watch this video. If you have any spooky and disturbing stories you would like me to research, maybe do a video on, send me an email. My email address is thespookylawyer@gmail.com. All right, let's get into this. Today we're going to talk about a chilling case that shook the city of Chicago in the 1950s. That is the disappearance of the Grimes sisters. On the evening of December 28th, 1956, 15-year-old Barbara Grimes and her 12-year-old sister, Patricia, left their home in Chicago for a trip to the nearby Brighton Park theater. They were excited to see the Elvis Presley film Love Me Tender. However, what started out as an innocent, fun night turned into a horrific tragedy. The girls never returned home that night. The Brighton Theater, just a mile from the girls' home in McKinley Park, was buzzing with excitement that night. Barbara and Patricia Grimes set out for an evening of fun. Their mother had reminded Barbara to keep 50 cents tucked away in her wallet, just in case they decided to catch the second screening of the film that night. We don't know exactly how the sisters got to the Brighton Theater. In the past, they either walked or took the bus. But on this particular evening, no one knows. A school friend of Patricia, Dorothy Weinert, recalled sitting behind the sisters during the movie. She and her younger sister left at intermission around 9:30 p.m. As they exited, they spotted Barbara and Patricia eagerly waiting in line for popcorn. Dorothy noted they seemed to be in good spirits, and nothing seemed to be out of the ordinary. After staying for the second screening of Love Me Tender, the sisters were expected to be home around 11:45 p.m. When midnight rolled around and they still hadn't returned, their mother, Loretta, grew concerned. She sent their older sister, Teresa, and their brother, Joey, to wait at the nearest bus stop, hoping to see them arrive. After watching 3 buses pass by without a sight of the girls, Teresa and Joey returned home. By this point, Loretta had already contacted the girls' friends, checking if they had decided to stay at someone's house. But with no leads and her children still missing, Loretta Grimes decided to call the Chicago Police Department and file missing persons reports. Police, alongside community volunteers, combed the area and followed numerous leads. But the Grimes sisters remained missing for nearly a month. As soon as the sisters were reported missing, a citywide search was launched, mobilizing hundreds of police officers who dedicated their full time to finding the girls. Officers from surrounding suburbs joined the effort, and a special task force was created just for this case. On December 29th, local volunteers swarmed into action, aiding in the ground search. The police went door to door throughout Brighton Park, and many canals and rivers were dredged through in hopes of finding crucial evidence. In an impressive show of support, over 15,000 flyers were distributed to homes in the area. The Sisters' Church even offered a $1,000 reward for any information leading to their whereabouts. The coordinated effort led to the questioning of 300,000 people, with about 2,000 individuals facing serious interrogation regarding the case. However, 2 arrests linked to potential confessions fell apart when one suspect, Edward Bedwell, argued he was coerced during a lengthy interrogation. Despite all the hard work, the investigation turned up little solid evidence, even with media appeals generating numerous reported sightings. Some teenagers who were at the Brighton Theater on December 28th claimed to have seen the sisters talking to a young man who, notably, resembled Elvis Presley. Initially, some investigators speculated the sisters might have run away or were staying with boyfriends, even against the wishes of their parents. During this time, the media tirelessly encouraged the sisters to come home. Some theories floated around suggesting that the sisters might have traveled to Nashville to catch an Elvis Presley concert or simply left their home to mimic his lifestyle. In a heart-wrenching appeal, Loretta Grimes, the girl's mother, publicly urged anyone holding her daughters to let them call her, stating, "I'll forgive them from the bottom of my heart." On January 19th, 1957, an official statement was broadcast from Elvis Presley's Graceland estate. In a televised plea, Elvis addressed fans saying, "If you're a good Presley fan, you'll go home and ease your mother's worries." He even took to the radio, directly urging the Grimes sisters to return home. Throughout the investigation, throughout that month, various sightings of the sisters poured in, various tips and leads. None of them led to finding Barbara and Patricia. However, on January 22nd, 1957, a construction worker discovered their bodies off a rural road in Willow Springs, Illinois, miles from where they were last seen. After a quick thaw following recent snowfall, a construction worker named Leonard Prescott was driving around a rural road called German Church Road, not far from County Line Road, in Willow Springs. As he passed by, he spotted something unusual by the guardrail, what he later described as flesh-colored things. At first, he thought they might be mannequins, but the feeling of uncertainty prompted him to return to the site with his wife, Marie. Tragically, Marie fainted when she saw what her husband had discovered. What they found were the nude, frozen bodies of the Grimes sisters. The couple immediately reported their discovery to the Willow Springs Police Department. The girls' bodies were lying on flat, snow-covered area behind the guardrail. Barbara was positioned on her left side, while Patricia lay on her back, her body partially covering her sister's head. It's believed the sisters were likely driven to this location in a car, where their bodies were then dragged or placed behind the guardrail. Upon examination, authorities found 3 puncture wounds on Barbara's chest that resembled ice pick injuries, along with the signs of blunt force trauma on her face and head. Patricia had multiple bruises on her face and body. To formally identify their daughters, Joseph Grimes, their father, was brought to the crime scene. After Joseph confirmed the identities of the girls, over 160 police officers from various suburban departments, alongside numerous local volunteers and the forest preserves, launched a search of the area. Unfortunately, this extensive search yielded little to no evidence related to the crime. Their autopsies were inconclusive. Exposure to the elements was determined as their likely cause of death, but the delay in discovering their bodies complicated the investigation and left room for speculation and theories. The autopsies of the sisters were conducted the day after their bodies were discovered by 3 experienced forensic pathologists. After a thorough 5-hour examination of each body, these experts were unable to agree on a clear cause or date of death. However, they did analyze the sisters' stomach contents, which contained the remnants of their last meals and snacks from the night of December 28th. This led them to conclude that both girls likely died within a few hours of being seen alive at the Brighton Theater. Placing their time of death around late evening on December 28th, or early morning, December 29th. The pathologist ultimately ruled the cause of death as exposure, but this conclusion was reached only after eliminating other possibilities. Interestingly, they noted that many of the wounds found on the sisters' bodies were likely caused by rodents occurring after death. No fatal wounds were evident on either girl's body, and toxicology reports showed that neither had been intoxicated, drugged, or poisoned prior to their deaths. Despite the tragic circumstances, it was puzzling that no items of the sisters' clothing were ever recovered, and their bodies were found in a notably clean state. The autopsy suggested that Barbara may have engaged in sexual intercourse around the time of her death, but no evidence of forcible SA was present. The official death certificate for both girls listed their cause of death as murder, with the specific means cited as secondary shock due to exposure to extreme cold, which had dropped their body temperatures below the critical level for life. One of the coroners, Walter McCarran, speculated the bodies may have been hidden behind the guardrail for several days. He argued that the well-preserved condition of the girls was likely due to the freezing temperatures that preceded their discovery, noting that a layer of snow had covered the area since January 9th, which just melted before the bodies were found. However, the chief investigator for the Cook County Coroner's Office, Harry Glaus, disagreed with the official time of death. He pointed out several marks of violence on the girls' faces, suggesting they experienced violence instead of post-mortem rodent activity. Glaus also indicated that a thin layer of ice found on the bodies suggested they were alive until at least January 7th, which disputes the timeline set by pathologists. The idea that these two women, the idea that these two girls died from exposure in a well-populated area is mind-boggling. This case was one of the first cases to gain widespread media attention. And to this day, the details surrounding what actually happened to the Grimes sisters are unknown. Suspects have emerged over the years, including drifters and various known criminals, but each lead fizzles out because there's no concrete evidence. There have also been reports of witnesses who claim to have seen the girls after their alleged time of death. So even the timeline of their disappearance is complicated. The disappearance and tragic deaths of Barbara and Patricia Grimes remain unsolved. Their story continues to perplex and haunt those who remember the case, those who are interested in finding out what happened in this mystery. And while the decades still pass, there are still people who cling to hope that someone will come forward and provide information to provide closure. So what do you think? Do you know this story involving the Grimes sisters? What do you think happened to them? Let me know in the comments below. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter and TikTok. My username is akbrews. If there is a spooky and disturbing story you would like me to research, send me an email, thespookylawyer@gmail.com. If you like my content, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like, share, and hit the bell to get notifications when I upload. Thank you again for watching my video, and as always, stay spooky.